one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, and unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Naishya Preshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamas Loke Bhaktir Bhakti Nas. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Nina Bhutale Swayam Upakadandayam Tadati Swakadantitam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuddhavapalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Vaganatam Vitantam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarvabhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishika Vitam Scha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagapati Gopisa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vindavani Shri Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanshakapaturvyascha Kripa Sindhu Devacha Aditanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are in the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 13, verse 30. Patim prayantam subhasya putri Patim prayantam subhalasya putri Bhakta chanugama sakri Bhakti chanugama sakri Himalayam nasya dandaparasyam Himalayam nasya dandaparasyam Manavishvam eva satsam prabha Manavishvindam eva satsam prabha. Patim, her husband, Vayatam, Mali home, Subhasya, the king of Subal, Putri, the worthy daughter, Bhatra, devoted to her husband, Cha, also Anujagana, followed Savil, the chase, Himalayan, towards the Himalayan mountains, Nishtadanda, one who has accepted the rod of a renounced order, Parahasam, object of delight, Manadinam, of the great fighters, Eva, like Sat, legitimate, Samprahara, good lashing. The gentle chaste Gandhari, who was the daughter of King Subal of Gandhara, or Gandhara, followed her husband, seeing that he was going to the Himalayan mountains, which are the delight of those who accepted the staff of the renounced order, like fighters who have accepted a good lashing from the enemy. Shilpa's purport. Subalini, or Gandhari, daughter of Subal and wife of King Dhritarashtra, was ideal as a wife devoted to her husband. The Vedic civilization especially prepares chaste and devoted wives, of whom Gandhari is one amongst many mentioned in history. Lakshmi Sita Devi was also a daughter of a great king, but she followed her husband, Lord Ramachandra, into the forest. Similarly, other women, Gandhari could have remained at home or at her father's house, but a chaste and gentle lady, she followed her husband without consideration. Instructions for the renounced order of life were imparted to Dhritarashtra by Vidura, and Gandhari was by the side of her husband. But he did not ask her to follow him because he was at the time fully determined, like a great warrior who faces all kinds of dangers in the battlefield. He was no longer attracted to so-called wife or relatives, and he decided to start alone. But as a chaste lady, Gandhari decided to follow her husband till the last moment. Maharaj Dhritarashtra accepted the order of Vanaprastha, and at this stage, the wife is allowed to remain as a voluntary servitor. But in the sannyas stage, no wife can stay with her former husband. A sannyasi is considered to be a dead man, civilly, and therefore the wife becomes a civil widow without connection with her former husband. Maharaj Dhritarashtra did not deny his faithful wife, and she followed her husband at her own risk. The sannyas accepts a rod as a sign of the renounced order of life. There are two types of sannyasis. Those who follow the Mayavadi philosophy headed by Sripad Sankacharya accept only one rod, ekadanda. But those who follow the Vaishnavite philosophy accept three combined rods, tridanda. The Mayavadi sannyasis are ekadandi swamis, whereas the Vaishnava sannyasis are known as tridandi swamis, or more distinctly, tridandi goswamis, in order to be distinguished from the Mayavadi philosophers. The Ekadandi Swamis are mostly fond of the Himalayas, but the Vaishnava sannyasis are fond of Vrindavan and Puri.
Jai Radhe.
The Vaishnava sannyasis are Narottamas, whereas the Mayavadi sannyasis are Dhiras. Maharaj Dhritarashtra was advised to follow the Dhiras because at that stage it was difficult for him to become a Narottama. Jai. So, in this wonderful purport of Srila Prabhupada, he talks about Gandhari. She was an incredible lady in the Mahabharata, great example for women, being a chaste lady. She heard that the man that she was going to marry, she was a great princess, and the man she was going to marry was a great prince. However, he was blind, Dhritarashtra. And he was not only blind physically, but he was blind spiritually too. But Gandhari, she voluntarily blinded herself in the way that she put on a blindfold. And because she didn't want to be superior to her husband in any manner. And in this way, this was a great vow that she performed for many, many years. It was probably over 90 years she had performed this austerity during the battle, when the Battle of Kurukshetra came about. Because her austerity and her vow and her dedication to her vow and austerity, she created this city. City is a mystic power. And this mystic power was that if she took off her blindfold and looked at anyone, that they would be like, have this invisible armor. They would be invincible. Nothing could be harmed on their bodies. And because she was a great devotee, and she could see that her son, Duryodhana, was in a precarious situation with this war, Battle of Kurukshetra. She could see because of his impious activities towards the Pandavas, who she could understand were very pious. And she understood who Krishna was, whereas her husband didn't. But she could understand that her son all of her sons. She had 100 sons, but they were all in very, very precarious situations. So she asked Duryodhana,
Thank you so much.
she could understand that her son Duryodhana was in danger. So she requested for him to come and see her naked. An odd request. And because she was going to take off her blindfold and benedict him with this power of being invincible. Well, Duryodhana was on his way to go see his mother when he ran into Lord Krishna. And Lord Krishna stopped him and said, Duryodhana, where are you going like that? You're naked. Duryodhana says, I'm going to see my mother. He says, no, you don't. One doesn't go see your mother naked. You should at least put a gamsha on, cover the other one. So Duryodhana took Krishna's advice because it was kind of a crude thing to go see one's mother naked. So when she took off her blindfold and she looked over him, every part of his body became invincible except for the hip area. And that was how he was killed. Bhima hit him with a club on his hip. They had a big war, a big fight between the two of them after the Battle of Kurukshetra. And they were both expert with clubs. And this fight went on for some time, for days. And at one point, Krishna motioned to Bhima. He slapped his own hip, motioning that Bhima should hit the hip of Duryodhana. And that's what was the demise of Duryodhana. But Gandhari is an incredible personality. And it's nice that Srila Prabhupada, he explains so many things in his purports, even how to have a happy marriage. He said it's in a marriage, there's always going to be somebody who's in charge. And so it's best for the wife to take the back seat and let the husband lead the way. The problem is we're in Kali Yuga, and everyone's so confused about even their gender. There's so much confusion. Am I female? Am I male? Maybe I should change my sex. This is a current thought, common thought in society today. But for devotees, our position is it doesn't matter, because we are all Prakriti. We are all servants of Krishna. And our focus is not on sex life, it's on celibacy. And from celibacy, we also acquire strength and cities and determination to follow in the footsteps of the spiritual master. So celibacy gives us so many advantages. It gives us this determination, which is very important in spiritual life. But Maya will attack. And when Maya attacks, Srila Prabhupada says the best thing to do is to chant Hare Krishna very loudly. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So in this purport, it's also mentioned that Dhritarashtra, he was no longer attracted to his wife and family. Because of speaking to Vidura, he understood, okay, I'm coming to the end of my life. And this is something we talk about a lot, is about death. Most people don't even want to think about it. But the truth of it is, we all are going to die. And we don't know when or where or how. And we don't know who's next. We're all in the queue, so to speak, but we don't know when we will be dying. So for Vaishnava, he's always preparing himself by chanting Hare Krishna and by reaching out for Krishna consciousness and setting up their lifestyle in such a way that one is Krishna conscious comes naturally and easily. We put ourselves in material situations, it's going to be more difficult to think about Krishna. And Dhritarashtra, he spent his life conniving and planning against the Pandavas. So unfortunately, he was really not in a very spiritual mindset at all, but fortunately is that his younger brother Vidura was able to awaken that realization that death is coming. And so you have to take this process very seriously. And Prabhupada used a beautiful analogy like a warrior who focuses all kinds of, a warrior who faces all kinds of dangers on the battlefield. And think about it, when a warrior is out on the battlefield, he may get hit with a club or even stabbed with a knife, but he keeps fighting and he keeps going, not aware of the body, not aware of the mind, but only of his mission at that time, which is fighting the enemy. And so that was Srila Prabhupada's mood, is like the house is on fire. We've got to get out, and we've got to get as many people out with us. If we were in a big house and there were lots of people sleeping and we woke up and there was a fire, would we just run out ourselves? No, that's not spiritual life. That's not Vaishnava life. Srila Prabhupada was so intent on us spreading this movement in so many, and he gave us so many ways in which we can do that. Prasada distribution, book distribution, Harinam, Sankirtan, all these things, and creating this environment here in the temple where people can come and truly feel the transcendental atmosphere and truly engage themselves in some devotional service and get a taste for spiritual life. Because nowhere else in the world is this happening. There was this devotee in LA. He was the head pujari, and his name was Ramdas. Quite an amazing devotee. He came to know, he was homeless. He actually was in the army, and then after he got out of the army, he chose to be homeless. And he would help people down on the street, and he lived with them. He just had one of those incredible, big, loving hearts. And then he met the devotees, and he would walk from downtown to LA every day. And eventually he moved in the temple, and then eventually he became the head pujari. And you know, he was really a special person because he always had something for you. He kept a bag of maha with him, and he would run into him and talk to him for a few minutes before you know it, he'd pull out a samosa and give you a samosa or a sweet. And if you had any health problems, he knew all kinds of herbs and remedies, and he was very generous in that way, in giving education like that, and very loving to devotees. Unfortunately, he came up with a heart condition while serving the deity, and they gave him about 2 months to live. They said that's all he could live. But he went to Vrindavan. He chose to go to Vrindavan, and there he lived another 2 years. But while he was living, he was never dormant. He was constantly active. He would give all the shopkeepers pictures of Rukmini Dwarkadish.
And also lotus feet.
Huh?
Lotus feet.
And Prabhupada's, and to the devotees, a picture of Prabhupada's lotus feet. But to all the shopkeepers, he gave these pictures, and this made Rukmini and Dwarkadish very famous, because the shopkeepers, when they would make things that devotees would buy, they would put these pictures of Rukmini and Dwarkadish on everything. It was very, very sweet. In fact, one time I got a little lost in Mathura, and I was trying to find my way. And my tour was very intense and very busy, and I don't know, I just went into this one shop to try and get some direction. And there on the wall were 6 pictures of her median portrait. It was very inspiring to see them. And just seeing that gave me the confidence that you're never really lost. Krishna's always looking out for you. So in this purport, Srila Prabhupada talks about how there's 2 types of sannyasis. There's the Ekadanda sannyas and the Tridandi sannyas. The Ekadanda sannyas has 1 long stick. And this is because they are thinking everything is one. They're worshiping the great Brahman, effulgence, and they're not understanding the personality of Godhead. But for the Tridandi sannyas, he is taking this humble state as I am accepting, my Lord, 3 kinds of chastisement from you. That I dedicate my body, my mind, and my words, Vacha. We dedicate our mind, body, and words to the service of the Lord. That's what the Tridandi sannyasi means. And the word Narottam came up because also Dhritarashtra, he couldn't become a Tridandi sannyasi because he wasn't near that platform yet because of the way he lived his life. So again, this is another message from the Bhagavatam. How we live our life is going to determine what the time of death is like. How we live our life. If we're living our life and trying to enjoy our senses, it's going to be very difficult to leave the body because we're going to be very attached to these senses. But if we're living our life serving the Lord, it will be much easier at the time of death to accept the spiritual body. But Narottama means the best of human beings. And there's the great devotee Narottama. Where Srila Prabhupada had mentioned him in a lecture regarding this verse, is that Narottama, he is the best of human beings because he followed the 6 Goswamis so perfectly. He was born a prince from a king and a queen, whose father died suddenly when he was a young man. His astrologer, when he was born, the astrologer told his parents that they shouldn't let him swim in the Padma River because that he would become a mendicant and leave them. So they raised him with a fear of going into any river. But then he had this dream one time, and Lord Chaitanya came to him. And it's interesting because Narottam, he appeared after Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda had left. And even when Lord Chaitanya went to this particular part of the Padma River, he started dancing ecstatically and chanting, Narottam, Narottam, Narottam. And no one quite could understand. And the waves of this, in this particular part of the river got very high and very ecstatic. So Narottam went to the river and he went in. And immediately he became like affected with this great spiritual surge of energy. He became so ecstatic, and the waves of the river got very ecstatic, swishing this way and that way. And at this time, Narottam received the love of Lord Chaitanya, the prema Lord Chaitanya gave him, Krishna prema. And from that moment on, He became a full mendicant, and he followed the six Goswamis faithfully. The great, great Vaishnava in our line was written so many beautiful prayers Narottam has that Srila Prabhupada has sung and given special purports on. And maybe sometime it would be sweet if we just had maybe on Narottam Das Takur's appearance day, we could have a bhajan session singing his songs. That would be a nice thing. So, and here, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Srila